Hi, welcome back. I'm Kevin Kannan, and we are talking about certificates and documents that are required to be carried on board merchant ships based on the IMO guidelines, the MSC circular that I talked about. Um, Please have it on hand if you have printed out or online, whichever is convenient to you. All these things are based on a write-up that I did on one of these vessels. About container ship certification. I followed the pattern of conventions, starting with SOLAS. We have covered some of the certificates, almost the certificates that are required as per SOLAS convention, and we are on to the load line one. So the last we stopped with load line convention, and as I mentioned, so load line rules are primarily for the assignment of free boards on ships on tankers and other than tankers, and also it has got the conditions of assignment. When by assigning the free board, what are the conditions that are to be met for the seaworthiness of the vessel? They talk a lot about the openings and air pipes, sounding pipes, hatch covers, weather tightness, water tightness, etc. There are three primary things that I want to bring it to the attention of my colleagues. One is that accommodation block. So that accommodation block, they are mentioned very clearly in one of the regulations that it has to be built of sufficient strength. So that is as per load line convention. So and then the parts of bulkheads which are there inside the accommodation, the fire resistant aspect is all covered by the SOLAS convention. Right. Now, so having made this accommodation of sufficient strength, so it has to be provided with all the facilities for us to live in and then operate the vessel safely. So that is more or less covered by the MLC under the crew accommodation requirements of the accommodation types, recreation rooms, the gymnasium, the galley, the provision stores, etc. So that is all provided in the MLC. So that is where the link up I kept talking about, that these conventions are all interrelated. Okay. So having said that, this accommodation has to be built of sufficient strength, and also it has to be they've got this fire resistant bulkheads and other things between the decks and other parts of the accommodation. So the ships are operated almost all the recent container ships are under UMS, and that means you have a duty engineer in rotation every day, and then because of the length of the accommodation, some of the ships which is having the funnel off, they have an accommodation cabin inside the control room, ACR, or just in that funnel block. Okay, so when it is on UMS, the crew accommodation certificate very clearly says crew accommodation as per MLC. So you got the space is covered by, say, the gymnasium, the recreation room, and other places where people come and generally relax and spend their time. You will have to have a UMS extension alarm panel, right? That is just to warn the engineer that yeah, that something is up, yeah, when the vessel is on UMS. Okay, having said that, some of the vessel, few ships I went on, and there was a thinking that well, we have a lot of money under the SRC recreation committee, and then we buy a lot of stuff like push up, gym equipment and all. And there are some spaces, like, yeah, some ships may have some white space, so you can put that, and then everybody can utilize. Everything is made fast nicely, and then it is seaworthy. I mean, it will not get damaged due to vessel sailing, but provider. So you must have a UMS alarm extension panel over there. So because this is very clearly mentioned that all the that we all know that the UMS alarm panel is there in the extension panel is there in the recreation room and the gymnasium and everywhere else. So wherever there is a chance that people go for relaxing and then spend some time together, so you must have an UMS panel. If yeah, it is prohibited to install any of these additional equipments that we receive into any other space other than the proper places where where these are provided. The alarm panels are provided so that engineers are alerted in case that person happen to be there. So that is one thing about the accommodation block of sufficient strength and with all the facilities it is constructed, and it is for our living that's taken care of. So also the role line regulations talk about two things. One is that protection of the crew and the safety of the crew. Protection of the crew, as I talked about, is various walkways, guardrails, and other things. And one of the things is that lifeline I talked about between bit open space like the original block or the forward part of the accommodation where there is a curvature. So the lifelines are rigged there, and one need to be careful that it has to be in place before we proceed out to sea. Yeah. And the other thing is safe passage for the crew. So protection of the unsafe passage for the crew is like it is assured that crew has to get to their workplaces safely at all times. Yeah, there has to be well lit underdeck passages and walkways on top so that they can reach the forward part or the off part wherever it need be, or they can reach the engine room block. Yeah, so nothing of obstruction to be there in the way of these passages, particularly the underdeck passage. Okay, so that's about the load line convention. Um, then we can get on to the next major one is MARPOL. Right. So MARPOL has got the annexes covering oil pollution, noxious bulk liquid substances, yeah, and harmful in packaged form, uh, garbage, sewage pollution prevention, and air pollution prevention. So mostly people are aware, and it is very well established, and ships operate efficiently in total compliance to the annexes of MARPOL of the respective ships. Yeah. Okay. Now, we are when we look to MARPOL or load line or the safety construction, we look at first the survey part of it and the certification part of it, and then we'll get on to some of the few intricacies that I come across in each one of these annexes. Okay, Annex 1. So these are except for Annex 3 and Annex 5. Annex 3 is harmful substances in packaged form, and Annex 5 is garbage pollution prevention. Except for these, the rest of the annexes, the ships have to be surveyed. Survey of ships as regards to the enforcement of provisions of these annexes shall be carried out by the administration. So, on behalf of the administration, the class does it because they are the recognized RO. Yeah. Administration may, however, entrust the surveys to either to a surveyor nominated for the purpose or to an organization recognized by it. Yeah. And I also mentioned this organization or the class or the what do we call the RO. RO doesn't operate in any beautiful way. I mean, they operate it very well. They operate under very good guidelines. But then there is a code like what we have for the rest of the codes that we have under SOLAS, like LSA, FFA code, etc. Yeah, so they have a code. Such organization, including classification societies, shall be authorized by the administration, that is the flag state, in accordance with the provisions of the code for recognized organization called RO code, as per MEPC circular 237/65 within brackets. So they have a code and they operate and then properly enforce the regulation. Survey the ship and issue the certificate. Okay. Now, what about harmful substances in packaged form? Harmful substances in packaged form, Annex 3. It totally. Yeah, they are marine pollutants. I think they are coming under class 9 of IMGG classification, and they are solely under the purview of the IMDG code. Yeah, so there is no separate certification for this, like international oil pollution prevention or sewage pollution prevention or international pollution prevention certificate for the carriage of noxious liquid substances in bulk. So there is no certification for this other than it has to comply with all the provisions of the IMDG code. So they are harmful substances carried in packaged form. So this Annex 3 come under the MARPOL, but then they enumerate likewise, in all MARPOL annexes like oil, noxious liquid substances, yeah, harmful substances, sewage, garbage. So as we go through the annex, at the end of it, what what do you mean by oil? So the type of oils they are mentioned. What do you mean by noxious liquid substances? So what are the fundamental definition and what are they? So there is a list of it. Same way, like even harmful substances, there is a list of it, as well as the sewage. Okay, sewage is very clear. It's a single item, right? Okay, so that's it's very clear. This is covered by the IMDG code. Um, Also, the document of compliance for IMDG code is an overall document of compliance, providing the firefighting facilities for the type of classes of IMDG that is carried on board, the segregation, the construction that is provided on a vessel for the safe carriage of this IMDG class on board. So that's an overall document of compliance. That is a separate thing. That doesn't come under MARPOL. So, but this Annex 3 enforcement and everything is through IMDG code. So that's let's be very clear about it. And then what about Annex 5, garbage pollution prevention? So, I mean, this is what I figured out. Okay, so you have MARPOL, Annex 1 is oil pollution prevention. You have many equipment to control the or limit or avoid altogether polluting the seas by oil. So there are oily water separator. There are various other things which are there to storage tanks and everything. So these are machineries, yeah. The oily water separator and the maintenance of it and the well functioning of it is a very critical equipment on board. So a lot of maintenance is required for these, So this has to be inspected, this has to be certified, and this has to be surveyed. So you have for Annex 1, you have an International Oil Pollution Prevention Certificate. Similarly, for noxious liquid substances in bulk, of course, yes. And then what about sewage pollution prevention? That's under Annex 4, Annex 5, Annex 4, I think, yeah. Annex 4, yeah. That is under Annex 4. Annex 4, yeah. Annex 4, sewage pollution prevention, you still have sewage treatment plant, you have a holding tank sometimes, yeah. So this has to be well maintained, yeah. And then there is a rate of discharge certification on board that you have to remain well within that rate of discharge when you are underway. So that's an enforcement, that is an inspection, there's a maintenance, and this will. Coming to garbage, and of course, air pollution prevention is a big topic. It covers so many things on air pollution, the exhaust coming out of the funnel, and we'll talk about it separately. That's a deep that's got more certification documents and other things, particularly when considering the greenhouse gas emissions as required. The enforcement of it, the IMO's regulations. We'll come to that later on. Okay. Right. So garbage is controlled by us. Garbage, discharge of garbage is prohibited other than what is allowed under Annex 5. And what do we do? So it's a thing that we segregated and then we store it in a correct place and then dispose it ashore. Yeah, send it ashore for discharging. Garbage discharge. There are not many equipments. Some vessels may have a compactor, and then you have a commuter in the galley for food waste and things like that. I'm not going into the details of the regulation as such, but I just want to share with you that it doesn't have too many equipments. Like it's all under our control, and then this has to be done. And you have to maintain a garbage record book. Garbage receipts have to be maintained. They're subject to port state control. Our own company auditors as per ISM requirement, and also it is scrutinized when the class comes on board. So there's no separate international garbage pollution prevention certificate for this. So, and also How is it? How the enforcement is as per this one, that we take care, we don't do that, we comply with MARPOL, and it is prohibited to discharge garbage as as per MARPOL guidelines. With the categories and the range and all, I leave it to you. So that is well established. So, but the class issues a certificate by themselves. Yeah, this is not on behalf of the flag state. So if you look at garbage record of construction, statement of compliance for the with the requirements for the prevention of pollution of garbage, it's just a statement of compliance enumerating the garbage facilities that are on board, be the commuter or the compactor or the number of bins which are stored or the garbage locker where it is provided. All these things are mentioned in the statement of compliance, and it is issued by the class of that particular ship, not on behalf of the flag state. So it is just entirely a separate certificate. There are two certificates. Yeah, one is this, and the other one is the main one, the certificate of class. We'll come to that later on. So that is garbage pollution permit. So this is a small differences that I want to point out. Okay, now when we go into that is as per my write-up. So we'll go into the MSc circular about the MARPOL requirement. So we covered the SOLAS requirement, and then MARPOL starts under section one. MARPOL is starting with what? Yeah. So you have exemption certificate. Start with exemption certificate. I wish we had exemption certificate for everything. Okay, exemption certificate for UNSP barges. Okay, they are for barges, unmanned, non-self-propelled barge. Okay, they've got some exemption. Okay, international oil pollution prevention certificate. Yeah. So this certificate is valid for 5 years, issued by class, subject to annuals and intermediate surveys, as everybody knows. Yeah, so it is called a record of construction of equipment for ships. Record of construction for ships other than oil tankers. Yeah. So what is in that record? It details the oil water separator, the location of the tank, sludge tank, holding tank, all those things. Um, yeah, that's the record of construction of as attached to the International Oil Pollution Prevention Certificate. Okay, so the next one is oil record book. So oil record book is very clear. So it's a statutory requirement. It's maintained on board, and either hard copy nowadays, electronic or OLP has come on. With some companies, they are enforcing that, and subjected to everybody's inspection, scrupulously, cleanly, correctly entered all the time, and it has to be inspected every now so often by the master, and so that we comply with the Annex 1 regulations, oil record book. All the chief engineers do a wonderful job of it, and yeah, so that's maintained well. Oil record book of the machinery space operations. Shipboard oil pollution emergency plan is the next one. SOPEP, yep, everybody is aware. SOPEP is got. We have SOPEP on board, detailing the emergencies, detailing the ship construction. Some plans are attached to it, and then also attached to that is a quarterly listing of the emergency contact lists of the flag states which come out as an MEPC circular. So we must make sure that as it comes out, we must either in total print it out and keep it, yeah, or keep it as a soft copy. And I would also what I used to do is like I used to print out particular trade route contact emergency contact numbers along with the PNI contacts as well as the um, agents details. So all into the contact list of the SOPUP manual it is attached to. It is a flag approved document, and that is subjected to verification inspection by our own company in audits as well as by external authorities as class society or the port state authorities. Okay, International Sewage Pollution Prevention Certificate. Okay, so this is again subject to surveys, and we have a sewage treatment plant, we have a holding tank, and then this comes with a document of approval for the rate of sewage discharge. Okay, so that is also an approved, class approved document that is to be held on board, to be pasted near the sewage treatment plant area, and then one copy kept. Sewage treatment, yeah. So it's a tricky one. Yeah. So all the ships, I mean, I'm sure many of us have gotten into trouble that the whole line is choked, and then end up in cleaning up the mess. Yeah. So that's we don't want that to happen. Yeah. So this plant has to be maintained in a good, healthy condition. For it to be maintained in a healthy condition, I mean, I'm just going superficially. So if you consult your the engineers, they will be there'll be more clear answers to that. But maintain that in a good condition. The bacteria which is there, which is what do you call it? Decomposing or disintegrating the raw sewage into untreated sewage into good effluent, yeah, clear effluent. So this is a bacteria which is living there. So what I'm trying to say is we should refrain from using all and sundry commode cleaning liquids like Harpic and things like that. It's gone. So we should use the plant approved, the manufacturer approved liquid for cleaning the commodes or cleaning the whole system, flushing the line, so that the bacteria, they don't die. They die, then the plant doesn't function, and then there is there's a mess, and then we'll end up in trouble, right? Yeah, and we don't comply. The main thing is we will not comply with the requirements of the MARPOL, yeah, which is not good and which is not seaworthy. So, and it's not good for our health either. Um, last few companies I say with, and there's a practice that apart from Gamazine, there are two types. One is a pack which comes in a bucket and that is treated wholly, and the other one is the bottles, Gamazine bottles. So these are left in each crew cabin. So when we go for say weekly inspections, and the crew is emphasized, hey, this has to be used. Only this has to be used for cleaning the cupboard and not like in a big way. So there's a measure how to use it. And then when this is adopted, the treatment plant stays healthy. When it stays healthy, and we are seaworthy and we live healthily on board. Yeah. So that is International Sewage Pollution Prevention Certificate, and the rate of discharge document which is attached to it, and which is posted there too. As I told you about garbage, we have a garbage management plan. The next one is a garbage management plan and the garbage record book. Yeah. And so these are to be maintained on board. Garbage management plan, everybody is aware of garbage regulations, disposal of garbage, segregation of garbage. Yeah, we have to be very scrupulous about it. And then garbage record book is maintained. All the garbage receipts, garbage landed to shore, proper receipts are obtained, and it is entered in the garbage record book, and subject to, as I said, all the authorities. Yeah. So we don't have a certificate, separate certificate called International Garbage Pollution Prevention Certificate as per MARPOL. But MARPOL enforces garbage regulations, and we have to comply with it. All ships have to comply with it. So, what is the next one? So, we are getting into something interesting um, of the Annex 6 of MARPOL regulation. That is International Air Pollution Prevention, control of prevention via air pollution. Air pollution. So, well, so the main engine is the main instrument that in the equipment that sends out so much of an exhaust with all gases inside. There are many things inside, so like oxides of nitrogen, sulfur. Then you have carbon dioxide. Then you have little bit of methane and solid particles. Yeah. Uh, the Annex 6 of MARPOL, that is air pollution prevention, has got many categories. So it starts with the oxides of nitrogen, and it goes on to talk about the oxides of sulfur, how it is controlled, yeah, and then it talks about incinerator, ozone depleting substances, and then shift energy efficiency. Yeah, so we will talk in detail about these, and I will spend a little extra time on the on the on the last part of it, the energy efficiency involving shipboard energy efficiency management plan, SEAM plan, and the latest ones on EEDI called EEXI, and then carbon intensity indicator, blah blah blah. So I want us, particularly the tech officers. It's all very well maintained, very well carried forward by the engineers on board. They are very well aware of it. But tech officers should know about this because it has got implications. It has got operational matters that one should be aware that so that in times of emergency we can utilize it so that all resources are under our under us to help us to navigate from A to B. Yeah. So I'll spend a little longer on the last part, that is energy efficiency. So, but we'll talk about NOx, nitrogen oxides, sulfur oxide, and then incinerator, and we get on to the other one. So, ozone depleting substances like hydrofluorocarbons are now no more. All are all the all the all the gases that we have as a refrigerant for the domestic refrigerator as well as the reefer containers are all eco-friendly ones. So yeah, so that is what we are into, and I'm coming to almost the end of the session. Thank you very much for joining me, and then I will catch up with you with the next one on Marpol Annex 6 in detail. So we may spend a longer time on that and what I figured out. This is whatever I've projected and I've talked about is all purely based on my own experience. And of course, individually, ships are running. There are a lot of experienced people on board. They all have figured out how to run efficiently in their own way, and that's one thing. That's the only reason the international trade is happening pretty smoothly. Transporting, as I said, yeah, almost all the world's requirement. Yeah. Thank you very much. I see you next time. Bye.